What's going on? This is your man, John Fortune, your host of the Frustrated Fan Sports Show. And today I'm going to talk about something that needs to be talked about. These are my top 5 stories for the Commanders coming up this season. The top 5 stories. So these stories are very important when it comes to the Commanders. And these are things that we really have to pay close attention to as the season goes on and what happens in the season as we watch some of these battles or some of these situations pan out. So I'm going to start off with my number 5 story for the Commanders. Number 5 is the third wide receiver battle. There are a ton of wide receivers in camp. And that third wide receiver is going to have to play a bigger role than what they may have thought they played. We saw last year the emergence of De'Ami Brown to the point at where he gets a contract somewhere else. And also, OZ left and went somewhere else and got a contract somewhere else. There are things that we're going to expect out of that third receiver that is going to be important. Very, very important. One, that third receiver is going to have to know how to block in the run game. There cannot be any playing around when it comes to blocking in the run game. The third wide receiver is going to have to know their role and do what they're supposed to do. Because if they don't, then they'll be in a situation where we're trying to figure out if they're still the right person for the squad, especially when you're talking about guys who are returning here, guys who are first-year players here, and second-year players here. So we're in a big conundrum right now. Yes, Deebo Samuel will have the number 2 receiver moniker, but he'll probably more than likely be more of a slot guy this upcoming season. And because of that, we're going to have to really see what this third wide receiver is going to be. I mean, you got them all. You got tall guys, you got shorter guys. I mean, will we see the emergence of Luke McCaffrey? I don't know, but we got Noah Brown, we got Michael Gallup. You know, there are a lot of guys that are here. Ja'Cory Brooks. We got a lot of guys here that are bound to make some level of an impression. And if they don't make the impression, that's going to be big. So, and if they are battling, we might see a really big battle, not only in training camp, but also in the preseason. The guy trying to solidify themselves as the third receiver. So that's going to be big and important. So the third wide receiver battle, we've got to pay close attention to that. My number 4 story is low for me, probably higher for others, but low for me. And that's Marshon Latimore's second year. Healthy this time. We got to see what we're getting out of him. I personally wasn't as down on Marshon Latimore as others were, knowing when he got here he was injured, knowing that there was going to be some level of integration that was going to happen, but he was still an injured guy. So with that being said, we're going to more than likely see a different, more motivated Marshon Latimore this upcoming season. We have to see if he is back to his old ways when it comes to the guy who was in Pro Bowls, was considered one of the top corners in in the league and things like that. Or is it a thing where his time has passed? I personally don't think that that's the case, but we don't know because of the fact that, like I said, he's been injured. I will say this, at least it's not Jaire Alexander, who was injured way more than Marshon Latimore. But again, like I said, I think Marshon Latimore, year 2, healthy year 2, that's a huge story. Number 3 is the story that I think that everyone is talking about. It's a story that, again, most people probably had this higher on the list. Me, I have it at 3. That's the pass rush this year. I personally like the signing of Deatrich Wise. It seems like there's more of an emphasis focused on the run game this year, especially when it comes to the down linemen that you have versus what we're going to get as far as a pass rush. We're going to have to see where these sacks come from this year. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, year 2, he may look very good. Like I told y'all, he was a guy that, I didn't know he was at Notre Dame, but I do know that he's a guy who played opposite of a lot of high quality, a lot of top edge guys, and he was also coached by the edge guy who brought some of those edge guys in. So again, I'm excited about Javonte Jean-Baptiste. Deatrich Wise. Deatrich Wise was a guy that I talked about last year when in the trade deadline that we should have brought him in. I do feel that he's a great fit for this system. I know he's up there in age, but I think that we can get a lot out of him because his style of play matches what they want to do, especially on the edges and sealing the edge and like kind of funneling the run game up the middle versus people being able to stop, people being able to break it to the outside and collapse the outside. So Deatrich Wise is a very good addition. I think everybody's question mark is Javon Kinlaw. What is he? What is he going to be? Because again, his production, what we signed him for versus what he's been in the NFL so far, his production and things like that, not quite put you on the excitement level. So that is going to be something important. Eddie Goldman is known for being a run guy. So again, we will be able to stop the run, but we have to find out where these sacks are going to come from. And hopefully we find a way to get these sacks coming from our defensive line and less from our linebackers, so we're not in a situation where we have to utilize Frankie Louvu so often to rush the passer. So we will definitely see with that. Number 2 is a story that I don't feel is being talked about enough. I think that this particular story is somehow being glossed over, and I think that a lot of people don't understand how much they're glossing over this particular story because it's something that is going to be very important in this upcoming season, and it's something that we're going to absolutely need when it comes to what's going to happen as this season rolls on. And so my number 2 story is the kicking game. We're going to have to see what happens with this kicking game. Last year, you're talking about, in a sense, we went through 4 kickers in the season, but 5 overall, because when we started the season, we had Brian McManus, who was going to be our new kicker. He got into some trouble, with the allegations and everything, had to be released. The charges were dropped off of him, went and played in Green Bay, and now we had Kay York, who was terrible in the Tampa Bay game. Went with Austin Seibert, who got injured, I think, in the Cleveland game or something like that. Had Greg Joseph, I think, for one game, and then had Zane Gonzalez and Austin Seibert. But now Zane Gonzalez is gone, and now we got Gay from I think he came from New England or something like that. But you're talking about we're now in a situation where we already dealt with the rotating quarterback situation. Now we're here where we're dealing with the constant rotating at the kicker position. We have to find out who's going to solidify our kicker spot because, again, this season may come down to games that are really close. And remember, Austin Seibert won us the Giants game by kicking, I think it was the Giants game, by kicking like 7 field goals. So, I mean, again, you're talking about needing a guy who can be consistent at the kicking spot that's going to make sure that, one, they're healthy the whole season, and two, that we can rely on them. So this is a very big deal. I don't know why a lot of people are not talking about this and not putting this high on their list of things we need to focus on, but the kicking game is very important this upcoming season, because again, as you're facing teams that are really strong and they're better offensively and defensively, you're going to need your kicker to bail you out of some games. So again, this kicking game is a big deal this year. So that's my number 2. My number 1, and I think this is everybody's number 1, Jaden's encore. The encore. We have to see what we get out of him. I know that everybody's talking about the fact that the NFL has a year of film on him. Now we got to see how much of his flaws has he corrected in the offseason. Remember when I did the off-season thing, I said that there were three former quarterbacks that I wanted him to work with. One was being Cam Newton for body control. You know, I want Cam Newton to teach him how to fall forward or how to protect himself when hits are coming and when to recognize hits. So to me, I feel that Cam would be the best teacher for something like that. I wanted him to be with Warren Moon to get offensive control. The reason why is because even though Jaden did well in the offense, I wonder how much understanding and recognition he has of the offense, where he can go all schedule more often, or even change plays that works in his favor no matter what goes on. And not only that, is he able to adapt very well when things happen. So, and even when certain new things are applied or new items are thrown in, is he able to sit up there and tell a wide receiver, just like Warren Moon, I will bury you in this offense, and still be stellar throughout the whole thing? So that was the other one. The last one, which is one of his flaws that every team started to talk about in the season. And this is a flaw that it's a flaw that he needs to correct so people cannot take advantage of that. And that last one is being able to throw while running to his left. That was a big thing. Everybody talked about when he ran to his left, 9 times out of 10, he was just running the ball. He was not going to throw the ball. And that, I said, he needed to work with Michael Vick. Michael Vick was probably the most accurate quarterback ever when it came to being on the run and throwing the ball accurately on the run. So, I mean, we'll see if Jaden has fixed those flaws that he had. We need to have a very solid encore to this season. I understand that people say, sophomore slump and things like that, and they try to bring up C.J. Stroud. Understand, C.J. Stroud still made the playoffs, even with the offensive line that he had. So he still made the playoffs, and he still won a playoff game. So, again, you're talking about if Jaden still gets a sophomore season like C.J. Stroud, that's actually not that bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. But I want to see how. We know that defenses are going to adapt to Jaden. I wonder how much has Jaden adapted more to the NFL and has gotten rid or minimized his flaws. I really am excited about this. Unlike everybody else, I'm not down on Jaden Daniels. I think that he's going to put in another fantastic season. We have to see what happens with Terry. Look, I'm not concerned with that. The captain will be in uniform. That's just what he does. The captain will be in uniform, and it would be it would not be in Adam Peters' best interest to not have Terry on the field, especially for a season that we feel we got to capitalize on after last season. So that is a huge, huge thing. I do have an honorable mention. I didn't feel that it was worthy enough to make the top 5, but it is an honorable mention. And that honorable mention is the offensive line reshuffle. Understand all these guys are going to be playing with each other for the first time. Other than maybe Nick Allegretti and Ben Coleman, Andrew Wiley's going to the bench. From my understanding, he's going to the bench. But you're talking about Laramie Tunsil is new to this blocking scheme and this offensive line. Ben Coleman goes from the tackle to the guard spot. Now, don't get me wrong, he's played guard in college, but we're talking about now playing guard in the NFL. And then we got our rookie, Josh Connolly Jr. on the right side. Again, a lot of people think that the transition from the left to the right is an easy transition. It's not that easy for everybody, and not everybody is okay with that level of transition. I remember Orlando Brown was forced to play the right side in Baltimore, and then when he became a free agent, he left so he could play the left tackle somewhere else. So again, we got to see what's going to happen. We got to see if Josh Connolly is able to make the transition over to the right side and play it well. We got to see what happens with Samuel Cosmi. Unlike a lot of other people, I was a person that was down on Samuel Cosmi, but that was me because I felt that he would always get lots and lots of penalties at the most inconvenient times. So we'll see what this line looks like even without him in the lineup. Then when he comes back, we'll see what he looks like in the lineup. So those are my top 5 stories for the Commanders in this upcoming season. Y'all tell me what y'all think. What are your top 5 stories for this upcoming season with the Commanders? How many of y'all agree with my top 5 stories, or how many of y'all would see some of my stories as honorable mentions? Y'all let me know. Other than that, this has been your man John Fortune, and this has been the Frustrated Fan Sports Show.